Greetings. Once again, we are continuing with the major message that Minister Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam's national representative, delivered to President Trump and the U.S. government on Thursday, November 16th in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. at the Watergate Hotel. The press conference marked the first time that the minister has spoken in regards to Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States. I want us to listen very attentively to what the minister is saying. This message is appealing to, a warning to, and a direct message to humanity. Regardless to race, creed, or color. You will hear the minister speak of a vision-like experience that he had. There are several ways that God reveals his will to humans. He reveals his message through his prophets by direct communication, visions, or dreams, or as delivered by angels. He also delivers his messages through direct signs and miracles. And he also has his written word, which is the scriptures of the Holy Quran and the Bible, and through the influence of the spirit of discernment of the individual. Some of the prophets in the Bible that God sent messengers to the nations and people who were on an errant path were Moses, Samuel, Elijah, Elisha, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel, Malachi, John the Baptist, Jesus, and Christ. Prophets mentioned in the Holy Quran are Adam, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Shalih, Hud, Ishmael, Isaac, Lot, Jacob, Shuaib, Noah, Joseph, David, Jacob, Isaiah, Moses, and Aaron. So let us listen to what the minister has to share with us.
Population. So when Mr. Trump talks about fake news, he knows what he's talking about. Now the press, you say you're the fourth estate. I would say you're in a hell of a state. Because you can't say what you really know to be the truth unless it passes the muster of those who are your bosses. Some of the press are assets of the CIA. Did you hear me? They have deceived the American people. So Donald J. Trump is busting up the institutions of a democratic country. My God. Yes, sir. Congress has 10% of the people with Congress. The media, the people don't trust the media. So every time he say fake news, if you study an article, 70 years of the CIA, the criminal arm of the U.S. government. These are criminals. They go into countries, kill presidents, overthrow governments, create civil war, and back away like they did nothing. They're crying about Russia's hacking into your little election when the American government has interceded in 81 countries to fix their elections and put into power those that would be in favor of American interests. But let me come to the end of this now. Tricky Dick and Slick Willie. We went from a small prison population And the crime bill was directly against black people. White folk can afford to smoke or use powdered cocaine, but they fixed something in the crack cocaine. And we became addicted, and they sent us to prison. Once we're called a felon, they knew we couldn't vote anymore. So they were killing us at the voting booth by putting us in prison. And it all was a plot. And Mr. Trump, the consequences of America's evils over time has fallen in your lap. Do you know that we've been a problem for you ever since we've been here? You fought a civil war over what to do with us. Wow, think about that. Poor black brothers and sisters, you're so conscious now. You're pulling down the Confederate flag, you know, because that was the flag of the South in their breakaway rebellion against the North. But that's history. Yes, sir. You don't feel their pain, and they sure don't feel yours. But do you know how many white folk in the South lost their homes, lost their farms, lost their lives in that war? So when you force them to take down the flag that represents their commitment to slavery, yes, and to the way of the South, you jump up and pull it down, and you don't think you're going to get a backlash from white people? Robert E. Lee is a great general. When America won the war with Japan, they sat down with the generals. First World War, they showed respect, one general to another, one warrior to another. So now you want to take, okay, Robert, we don't like you, but get your statue out of here. So President Trump said, well, where's it going to end? Because the first 5 presidents were all slave owners. You're going to tear down the Jefferson Monument? You see how it's getting? So now white folk, as I said, when Mr. Trump was elected, the onion was being peeled back, and white civility was no more. They're not acting by you like you think they should. They're angry. And they're killing us. And they know they have a genocidal plot against all black America, starting with Nixon and Kissinger. And Memorandum 200, go look it up. They want to cull the population of our planet by 2 billion people. This is not human. This is satanic. They've got their scientists in laboratories how to control your mind. So Dr. Wesley, our minister and analyst and researcher, he put out a book on weed. I mean, that's like talking to a pig eater and telling them don't eat pig. Man, they'll beat you up and sit down and eat a hog head. When you talk about weed to black people without God, you better put God in the equation, brother. Because weed is all right if it's pure. It has properties in it that can be used for medicinal purposes. But they're weaponizing the weed now. And they're doing lobotomies on the black man's brain. With chemistry, biology, and electrical energy stimulation. You're under assault, black brothers and sisters. Why is the sperm count in black men falling? Because of the food you eat and the water you drink. The lead in the water in Flint is not an accident. It's in Cleveland that way, and if you're not careful, it's here in Chicago. You can divert the water into the black community and then drop some stuff in the water. You drinking the water, you're bathing with the water, and all of a sudden you're acting strange. Do you know that homosexuality can be produced through chemistry? Don't be mad at me. Think. You can be turned into something through chemistry and the misuse of biology. So now the ball is in the court of Donald J. Trump. Yes, sir. Mr. Trump, you met with your Joint Chiefs of Staff in August and in early September. You had your generals at Camp David. They weren't talking about taxes. You don't use generals to talk about taxes. You were planning a war, sir. George W. Bush, after 9/11, said he was going to divide the Muslims against themselves. Now a 1400-year dispute between Shia and Sunni is about to take into a war. President Trump went to Saudi Arabia and called 50 Sunni nations through the king of Saudi Arabia. And instead of inviting Muslims to sit with Muslims to find out what's the point of contention and bringing peace about, he took those Sunni nations, yes you did, Mr. Trump, and you aimed their anger against Tehran and the Shia nation. Just recently, you sent much weaponry into the Middle East. You've sent missiles into the Middle East. Yes, sir. You didn't send them. You would urge them to buy them. A war is brewing. Yes, sir. President Trump, you just left Asia, and you carried with you to Asia 3 of your largest aircraft carriers with F-18, F-16, a nuclear sub in the water. You had an armada around Kim Jong-un. You went to talk but you had firepower to aid your lexicon of language. Barack Obama, you hate him. You call him a weak president because he's not like you, Mr. Trump, and he's not like his predecessors. He is like Jonah, who was a reluctant prophet. Barack Obama was reluctant to be the type of wicked man that your presidents are, have been, and like you said, let's take the oil. See, that's not presidential. The presidents would say, let's see if we can make a deal and give them money for their oil because we really want it all. That's presidential. We'll send our Secretary of State. He's such a diplomat. But you, Mr. Trump, we'll take the oil. You remember? Yes, sir. And with Stephanopoulos on ABC, we'll bomb the hell out of them. See, Mr. Trump is real. He is what he is. Now you either got to see him as he is, because all the rest of them were vampires that looked good in the day, but when night came, you know. Mr. Trump, and I say this to my brother Barack, you really tried to make America better. Couldn't succeed. Because the moment you went overseas and started talking about the mistakes that America has made, Romney and the Republicans said, look at him. He's over there apologizing. Mr. Trump, more than an apology is needed. Mr. President, you're going to have to deal with either the thought that's in your mind that will destroy America and her future, because once the trigger of war is pulled, it will escalate. Now, I'm going to tell you what my teacher told me. You have planned a war. Yes, sir. The war that you have planned, you and your generals, is to the Middle East. You want to use the Sunni at the prodding of Israel to attack Iran. Just like you did with my brother Gaddafi. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You laid back, leading from behind. You in Syria now. Boy, this is rough. And Mrs. Clinton, she encouraged you to give the go-ahead to kill Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi had come in out of the cold. Gaddafi gave up all his weapons of mass destruction. And Bush used to be so proud to say, Gaddafi got the message. He's come in. And then under Barack, Hillary Clinton imposed her will. And they murdered Muammar Gaddafi. And the killing of Muammar Gaddafi wrapped a ribbon around Kim Jong-un. And it was given to you as a gift. You will never get North Korea to give up what she has as a trump card. That's over, Mr. Trump. Can you live with North Korea with nuclear weapons? I think you're going to have to. Even though you have war plans already to knock out North Korea, but China said, if you attack North Korea, we have to defend them. China is right. Allah don't love aggressors. He said, but if North Korea attacks you, America, we'll lay out of it. So you went there thinking that you making friends. Wrong. You didn't discuss with China his plans for war. You have laid out in the Pentagon how you can wipe the Chinese out. Right. But you don't want China, not yet. And you don't want Kim Jong-un yet. But you're looking for a softer target and you think that's Iran. Wrong. Wrong. If you permit Israel to push Saudi and the Sunnis into war with the Shiites, I want to say this to the Muslim world. See, you are so blinded that you think with America's backing you can win. Wrong. You're a Muslim. If you got the backing of Allah, you can win. But you don't have that backing. Not as an aggressor. Pakistan is sitting there with nuclear weapons. I noticed, Mr. Trump, he didn't mention Pakistan. Although at the United Nations, you did mention Iran. You mentioned Venezuela. You mentioned Cuba. And you mentioned Kim Jong-un. You'd rather fight all of those three and leave Kim Jong-un alone. But guess what? Guess what they found in North Korea? $6 to $10 trillion in mineral wealth. And guess what they found in Afghanistan? They dropped the mother of all bombs in an empty space, letting us know that you got it and you will use it. But what did you uncover? You know that in Afghanistan, there's another 10 trillion in mineral wealth. So Barack tried to get you out of there, but you agreed. You're back in it now. And you're not just in there. They found oil in the Golan Heights. Right. And Israel said she wants to get involved in the fray in Syria. But Russia is there. And they found tremendous oil reserves in the Golan Heights. And Israel wants to take that oil so that she will be oil self-sufficient. See, and just as you're reaching for it, your hands are going to get burned. And Israel, you are making America lose big time. You don't want me to say how much control AIPAC has over the U.S. government. And I know the press is here. You can't even say it except you tell something ugly so that your editors will give you leave. But brothers and sisters, let me tell you, you're going to be set free. Because that kind of cowardly news person who knows the truth and afraid to tell it, if you love this country, you tell the truth to change America, for she is going down and fast. Mr. President, you won't make America great again. Not in our time. She became great killing Native Americans. She became great enslaving us, bringing us from Africa into America to work the cotton fields. You're not going to get that opportunity back anymore. We made America rich and strong. And you can't tell me, Farrakhan, if you don't like America, you can go on back to Africa. Let me tell you something, white folk. You don't have a place on this earth that you can call your own except what we gave you, and that's in Europe.